When Hurricane Melissa came ashore, it was assessed as among the most powerful storms ever to have formed in the Atlantic Basin. And that was clear to see, with Jamaica now enduring one of the most harrowing days in its history. Landfall took place on the southwest side of the island. The images that emerged from these parishes spoke of the intensity of this storm and how much damage it was capable of inflicting. No infrastructure was likely to be able to absorb such punishment. And for those barricaded inside homes, watching the destruction through windows and gates, the scenes outside were terrifying to glimpse. In the hours before it came ashore, US reconnaissance aircraft once again flew close to the wall of the eye of Melissa and reported winds that were peaking at nearly 200 miles per hour. Compact and slow, in many ways this was the perfect storm that only intensified as it passed over the warm waters of the Western Caribbean. Power surges on the island were among the first signs of the arrival of the outer bands of the hurricane. So too were roads that quickly became rivers. A colossal quantity of rain is expected to fall over the next 24 hours. The slow-moving nature of the hurricane, one of its most lethal characteristics. A government minister said Jamaicans must stay in their shelters until the danger is past.
Jamaica, this is not the time to be brave. I've been saying for 1 week, don't bet against Melissa. It is a bet we can't win.
One woman who has battened down in the hardest hit parish of all is Ava Lee Shang.
Winds been getting heavier. You can hear it. The winds actually hitting the roof now. Quite a number of the trees to the backyard have been stripped bare, so there are leaves flying everywhere. Looking out, I can see some property damage. I'm trusting in God to keep us safe. We have done all that we can. Don't panic. Don't be anxious. We're going to get through this.
Jesus have mercy, God. Look on the road.
It will take many days to assess the extent of the damage, especially in more remote communities inland, where connectivity and communications have been disrupted most. But the early indications suggest this storm, so late in the hurricane season, has exacted severe damage on infrastructure and agriculture. This was a scene outside one of the main hospitals on the island, as it struggled to stay operational. Jamaica is left tonight still in the grip of Melissa and waiting to discover the true toll. Robert Moore, News at 10.
Pretty terrifying, and CNN meteorologist Derek Van Dam is in the Jamaican capital where he's felt the full force of Hurricane Melissa.
We are in Kingston, Jamaica. Since the storm has moved off the coast of northern portions of Jamaica, we decided to venture down to the coast to see how the city of Kingston, the capital city, fared. Obviously, much more intense conditions down by the ocean, the Caribbean Sea spraying up water. We often can taste the seawater when we get these really intense wind gusts. But we're happy to report that the capital city was spared the catastrophic and extensive damage that unfortunately has unfolded and continues to unfold over the western parts of this country. We drove through this area. We saw some electrical poles that were tilted, billboards that were knocked over, minor street flooding, but by and by, all in all, they were spared the worst that Hurricane Melissa has dealt this country. But it is a completely different story 100 kilometers to my west. We're going to go through a very, very treacherous night and wake up tomorrow morning to a completely different Jamaica.
Well, for people worried about family and friends in Jamaica, a crisis centre has been set up inside the Foreign Office. Of course, cuts to the power supply and internet connections has made it very difficult to keep in touch with what's going on.
So, Ronald, how are you? What's happening out there?
As Melissa lashes Jamaica, thousands of miles away in Berkshire, Alison's been waiting for word from loved ones.
Everybody's okay? Everybody's safe?
With power down and communications fading in and out, every message feels like a lifeline.
The worry is that my family members and close friends, whether they'll come through this or not, survive intact and be able to rebuild their lives afterwards. My cousin Ronald is in Clarendon. I spoke to him this morning about 6:15, having gone to bed at 2, so I didn't really sleep very well last night.
But for those in the eye of the storm, there is no rest at all. In Negril, on Jamaica's west coast, tourists have barricaded themselves in hotel bathrooms. Cherie and Becky, friends from Hull, were celebrating a birthday. Now they're bracing for impact.
We've got one of the mattresses up against the window, the balcony doors, curtains closed, furniture up against the mattress. We've made little sofas in the bathroom, we've got water in there, we've got food supplies.
In London, the Foreign Office Crisis Centre is monitoring events around the clock.
We've set up the Crisis Centre here in the Foreign Office to provide 24-hour consular assistance to British nationals, but also to monitor Hurricane Melissa and to make sure we are ready and stand ready to provide UK support to Jamaica.
In South London, Maureen hasn't heard from her family since Saturday. Each passing hour of silence, she says, has been agonising.
I have to keep on checking the phone to see what's going on, honestly. It's panicking. Everybody's like on a knife edge. It's sad, honestly. I can't sleep.
You feel safe where you are with Mum and Dad, yeah?
Tonight, families here and across Jamaica are bound by the same fear and the same hope that everyone they love makes it through the night safely. Settle Karia, News at 10.
Well, it is speed that is of the essence of Hurricane Melissa's destructive power. The fastest of winds at its heart, but moving across the ocean and then the island at the slowest of paces. And Geraint is here to explain all that.
Tom, it is still too early to make any proper assessment of the scale of the damage done to Jamaica by Hurricane Melissa. Jamaica's government is expecting it to be catastrophic because the storm's classification when it made landfall was Category 5, the most powerful, and the numbers that come with that were terrifying. Wind speeds of more than 185 miles an hour, 40 inches of rain, and then the storm surge. The level of the sea at the coast was predicted to rise by as much as 13 feet. Now, the Caribbean is a part of the world where they are used to tropical storms, but a hurricane of this strength this late in the storm season is unusual. The other thing that's unusual about Melissa is the very slow speed at which it's been moving, making its way towards Jamaica from the south at just 2 miles an hour. So plenty of time to draw up what is rocket fuel for hurricanes: warm water. And that's another unusual feature of this weather system. Temperatures in the Caribbean Sea higher than they should be for a longer period of time, so warmer water at a greater depth. And the appetite for all that moisture is enormous because of the exceptionally low pressure at the storm centre. And when the moisture's drawn up, it also powers the hurricane's rotation, driving up the wind speed.
We've got the combination of warm atmosphere, warm oceans, and it's driving all of that energy to lift up the moisture from the sea, and then the atmosphere is then able to hold more moisture. So when a hurricane forms and it becomes incredibly intense, as Melissa has, it can just hold more water now. So that leads to significantly more rainfall intensity.
Melissa was downgraded to a Category 4 while it was over Jamaica. The next island in its path is Cuba, where people have been leaving their homes and heading for the higher ground. It was the coincidence, though, of a number of extraordinary characteristics, Tom, which today made Melissa, well, the perfect storm.